Yes, yes, we
Okay,
can see
again,
it.
apologies for the delay. We had technical issues over here. So just want to set the precedent here in the presentation. Walter Deming, who's the father of the Japanese economy, also one of the most prestigious business awards in the US, is a Walter Deming Award. He's also the creator of TQM, Total Quality Management. He said that without data, you're just another person with an opinion. Mark Twain said that if you have more than one clock, you'll never have the correct time. And you'll hear me over and over again in this presentation talking about one source. One source is one truth. And that's kind of like the precedent that we have here of why Microsoft has been moving to the cloud, why there's a transition from GP to Dynamics 365 BC, and what is there for you all and moving over. So just some quick notes here. Optimus is a business transformation digital firm. We're focused on various verticals, as you saw there. Retail, we're Diamond now. And we work with various solutions which we're authorized. A lot of these solutions are unified commerce. So we work with bots, we work with artificial intelligence, self-checkouts. So it's not just the vanilla ERP side of the equation. Our headquarters is in Miami, Florida. The image you saw there is where we have direct offices or affiliate, in other words, franchisee offices. So I mentioned we do ERP, CRM, WMS, document management, barcoding. So we deliver turnkey solutions for our customers and help bridge everything together. And then you have one neck to choke and one place to also set up your support. So that concludes I hope in a minute or less who we are. The agenda today, we're gonna go quickly over the history. History repeats itself, and within the history, it'll help you understand what's happening and also what it is there for you. And we're also going to talk about Microsoft's roadmap and their recommendations and what when you want to upgrade. So, basically what we want to do is take you through a process where we land the plane together. Would be the analogy here. So there's a lot of confusion, Dynamics 365 and what's AX and F&O and BC and Business Central and GP and Great Plains and CRM Online and this and that. So it is confusing. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It drives, for me, I started with Microsoft right after they got into, after their GP and Navision Business Central, let's say acquisitions. And, basically, I lived throughout the whole process. In reality for ERP is, in any type of solution, can't fit a square peg in a round hole. So at the end of the day, what's best for you? I mean, I'm happy with GP. I'm not happy with GP or F&O. It's really, what has a better fit. What has to do with the industry you're in and the size and type of organization you are. So we're going to focus on GP and Business Central, who they are. In the early 2000s, Microsoft first acquired Great Plains, who had acquired SL Solomon. SL GP are now in the same boat. And they also acquired Navision Danbard, which owned AX. So acquisition happened. Primarily GP, we've always seen it in the Americas and in the Caribbean. There, Microsoft, I was there, with the transition of the acquisition. And, we had back then 45,000 GP customers in the Americas and, about 1,000 or a couple thousand just in the UK and Ireland. And this included also the Caribbean and Latin America. First is Navision, which is now called BC, I'll keep on repeating this or Business Central. So, after this workshop, you learn a little bit more of the terminology and what we're speaking about, or what Microsoft is speaking about. There was the opposite. Europe had like 50,000 NAV, AX, NAV being Business Central now, and AX being F&O customers in Europe, and I think it was 500. I don't know, it was less than 1,000 in the Americas. So that's why it's also hard to get experienced Dynamics 365 Business Central consultants personnel in the Americas, but easier to get GP or Great Plains one. So that's a little bit of history there. Fast forward. Microsoft rebranded Great Plains to Dynamics GP, rebranded Navision to Dynamics Nav, and then Microsoft again, as you're seeing there on the left-hand side, in 2019 rebranded, let's say, Dynamics Nav into Dynamics 365 Business Central. So both sides of the equation, GB and BC, they're systems that have 40 years of history and functionality in it. Biggest difference we're going to see here is Business Central is 100% web enabled. GB just has a small footprint, let's say a web user interface, but it's not true web cloud solution. BC as hybrid can run on the cloud or it can run on premise. GB is only on premise. And what happened is in around 2019, 2020, Microsoft remodeled what I call remodeling the heck out of BC. It literally took the architecture, rebuilt it, changed the development programming code on it to something that's .NET supported. GB is not. GB's dexterity is not a Microsoft's, let's say, development roadmap. Never was, and basically added AI, BI, machine learning into the Business Central side. GP does not have it, will not have it. GP has something in Power BI, let's say a connector, but that's it. This is me drawing. I always got bad grades in kindergarten and first grade. Drawing, I'm terrible at it, and writing. But basically what I did here is I mapped out for you all. And by the way, if any of you want a copy of this presentation, after the year, you can submit. You'll get an email from us, thanking us for participating. Then you can reply to it to our operations department and request a copy of this presentation, which also I'm calling it a mini white paper. But you'll see it there color-coded with circles, so we understand. CRM is Microsoft Dynamics Customer Engagement, which is now called Sales and Marketing. Nav is Business Central. AX is FinOps, something you are seeing here, right? And in the middle, you see all these technologies Microsoft has embedded on BC, FinOps, and CRM. They're not embedded on the GPSL side. And GPSL is not part of the Dynamics or the Microsoft 365 solution set or work tools. Picture paints 1,000 words. Here's another depiction of, and a little bit of a roadmap. How, for all of you who are GP and, hey, should I go to AX or should I go to BC? Business Central is more a tier 2 ERP. We have the Acumatica, Salesforce.coms in there, NetSuites of the world. It does scale. I have customers in Business Central with over 1,000 users. Dynamics AX, I would compare more like to a full SAP or a full Oracle PeopleSoft. So where you're implementing or supporting the solution internally, your total cost of ownership is just going to skip that video since we're a little bit delayed here. And So you understand you can compare apples to apples, oranges to oranges. Dynamics 365, has what an ERP package has, very similar to GP. I'll cover some differentiate their areas. For me, the biggest one outside of the underlying technology and reporting and business intelligence and Power BI. Between the two is also manufacturing. So, it is a lot more robust. Dynamics, I think there's a lot of confusion on what's Microsoft 365, and recently there was a rebranding of Office 365 to Microsoft 365. So basically, Microsoft ecosystem here at the bottom. This is your tool set to work with Microsoft. So think of yourself as a plumber, and you're walking in to fix something, and you're going to have your tool bag, and then this is what's in the tool bag. GP is not in here, SL is not in here. What Microsoft has done is they've absorbed field services into the CRM platform. They've been integrating that to Business Central. Every year that passes by, those two circles you see here are becoming more and more one. Underlying that are tight integrations into Office 365, Microsoft Teams. Last Friday, we had a workshop on Teams and Chat GPT and the integration of Teams into CRM and Business Central. Teams is a communication tool, but Microsoft, obviously, when we work remote or in an office, we now rely more than ever, and I'm not going to be playing the COVID drum here, but we all know that rely more on efficient communications on a mobile device, etc. We're working on Teams and Zoom more and more every day. So the more tightly all of this is integrated, let's say I can start a call inside of CRM without having to look at a tool, or I want to share an ERP, purchase order. I can do that pretty transparently through Teams to one of my colleagues. So all of this is being tightly intertwined, and then having Power BI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning under this. And and one neck to, you also have one neck to choke, that being, Microsoft. For some people, that's a benefit. Others don't want all their eggs in one basket. That's, everybody's decision. Again, going back to Walter Deming, when you have everything tightly integrated, you'll have better data, right? And then you move from opinions and you can make better decisions. Now, what's happening with GP? What makes this a little bit more compelling? Microsoft officially, they've moved that. And again, I'd like to visualize, so I'll be showing you guys in a second the other slide. But first, I want to explain what's the modern life cycle and fixed life cycle. Before you were on a fixed life cycle, if you were on GPSL, that fixed life cycle meant you paid your enhancement. Microsoft supported the current version and the past version, and then the version before that got basically put on life support for a small period of years before Microsoft completely, let's say, or stopped, let's say, interacting with it. Now we have the modern life cycle. This is different. This means Microsoft every month is supporting, providing some technology updates, particularly around performance and bug fixes, and every 6 months, which is, let's say, mid-year and end of year, June, October, November, December, Microsoft does release, let's say what I call a minor update. Microsoft is only supporting the current minor update and the previous one to that. As an FYI, and you'll see it here, as of today, the only thing Microsoft has an extended support being from the old support method, which is the mixed lifecycle, not the modern. You'll see that everything from GP 2013 and let's say is going out of extended support. Extended support, you really don't get anything. You pay Microsoft $500 just to open up a ticket, and they're here you. But the mainstream support, As you're seeing here, Microsoft is no longer supporting, so no bug fixes, no support calls. You have to go to extended. Extended is pay us $500 and we'll, try to get, somebody to give you a hand, which a partner already does. But basically, Microsoft is not supporting anything 2018 or 2 or before. So with Microsoft, and that's on the GP side. So right now with Microsoft, you have to be on the 18.5 life cycle, and it's on the modern life cycle. So that means next year, when, I don't know, 18.6 or 2022 or whatever, when Microsoft does in the next 6 months, you have to keep up updating your system frequently. Here's the website where we got all this information. This is not produced by us. This is actually coming direct from the lion's mouth, Microsoft. Also, this is Microsoft's website. You go upgrade GP. This is again me drawing. You click on GP and look what Microsoft recommends. They don't recommend moving to a higher version of GP. They're actually recommending clients to move to Business Central. Is GP dead? No. Is GP on support, life cycle, end of life? Let me maintain it. Yes. I call this more life support, right? Where you're in the hospital and you're giving oxygen and, you're just waiting. So it's not dead. You don't need to move tomorrow. If you get audited and you have regulatory obligations to be on a modern, let's say, version, then, and you're in an older GP 2015, 16, or whatever version, should I move to 2018.5, which is investing, spending money in an upgrade, or should I just upgrade to Business Central? So this is where conversation comes into play. We are consultants, we're not salespeople. So what we've come to learn is there's different cases, different needs for different customers. Most of the time, let's say the vertical or certain technology needs or business functional needs outside of what I had before getting a newer version also have to do with it. For example, if you're on GP and you have a project and you're going to invest a large sum of capital into upgrading your reporting or doing better reporting, or you're going to implement field services or manufacturing, that's where you say, wait a minute, let's, before we put this money in GP, even though I don't need to upgrade right now, but I need this functionality, when, we shouldn't be putting money in something that's on life support. So it's a case by case in there. Somebody once said GP infinity and beyond, and I say no, there is no infinity. There is a beyond in GP, but it's that beyond positive. What would I say? So again, I'm jumping the videos. I spoke about GP and Business Central. What people tell me licensing right now, there is a Microsoft promo. Microsoft's recognizing your GP investment if you are current on a maintenance plan on the old fixed plan, and they'll give you trading into the new model. Right? So this is like somebody trading in their 2010 Corolla and they're buying a new Toyota Corolla, a 2023 Corolla, and the dealer will give them a trade-in. Up until last year, Microsoft traded in the 2010 Corolla $0 for the 2022 version. Now in 2023, Microsoft is giving a significant discount for. We just did a couple of these analyses from GP to Business Central and GP to F&O. One of our customers, I used to pay 30-something thousand in GP maintenance a year. They're getting a $50,000 a year credit into F&O, which only runs on the cloud. On the Business Central side, you can run on the cloud and on-premise. If you move from GP to the on-premise Business Central, up until now, you're getting, if not all of the software for free. you are getting a large majority of it traded in. So that's not a capital outlay. But from GP, you move to the cloud. Last year it was 100%, and now you're getting almost half of what you should have been paying on Business Central. You're getting a credit for it. Typically 3 years, that covers the difference and a lot more based on what you were paying on GP maintenance and et cetera, et cetera. And we can work on those numbers for you. It's impossible to run a whole bunch of formulas because there's so many cases here that it's just impossible to give anybody a framework. This is very more of a consultative process than let's say a repetitive sales process. Outside of that, again, Business Central, 100% responsive. You can run it on any device. You can run it from home. GP, you still have to VPN in a lot of the times, or Citrix in, or whatever. And the web user face it has, it's clunky, and it's also not that let's say it's limited in functionality, versus on the Business Central side is 100%. Microsoft, with your subscription into Business Central, you do get material benefits in there. Those material benefits include on the Business Central side, you automatically get disaster recovery. So that's a saving when you're in GP on premise. You have to have a disaster recovery plan or cost or investment or site. The other thing is you get from Microsoft what's called telemetry services. That's preventive corrective maintenance. Those are free services, and that's between AI and people and algorithms, and they're monitoring your system to see that's properly performing. And again, that's part of the price over here. It's embedded in there. It's not extra. You also get another layer of protection. Optimus security is not in the security ransomware business. We do have partnerships with people. You can't be an expert on everything. So we decided not to be an expert on security. But we've had customers that have had ransomware. It's coming. The attacks are everywhere right now. It's scary. But with that said, you do have with Microsoft, since the servers are managed by them, you do have an extra level of security. That does not take away your responsibility to have proper internal security and controls. You still have to do that, but let's say you can sleep, you can rest better at night, knowing that there's definitely another level in there. But then the other thing, which is what we all know, you don't need to buy hardware. Everything's up there on the cloud. Cloud has benefits, pros and cons. Cloud is not perfect, like a lot of salespeople try to push us. It just give me a second. Okay. I think I'm having issues with my camera. Remember I said I had a little bit of technical issues, so I'm gonna try to stop my better. Okay, so I just stopped the camera. And I'm back over here. So those are, let's say, great benefits and cost savings that you get on the BC side that you don't get on the GP. And again, I love GP. It's a great accounting system, right? It's just getting a little bit old. That's all. User interface, user access, right? Web browser, mobile apps. You can go to the iOS store, Google Play Store, and download an app that works there. How you pay? Again, I mentioned that you can GP is only on premise. Before you could rent GP. Microsoft took that away, and then on the Business Central side, BC side, you can definitely everything on the cloud where you pay a monthly fee. You can have private hosted. We do have customers that have Dynamics running on AWS or a private cloud. And the other part is like you had in GP, you can just have it on site. On site, remember there may be, some of these services, for example, Microsoft extra level of security, you're not going to have it on site, you're not going to have it on site, that's on Microsoft servers. So multiple deployment options, I mentioned that already. I'm not going to talk it to death. I already mentioned about the biannual minor updates versus annual or every 18 months, and GB is getting a little bit slower. This is a table like this, but again, anyone who wants these slides, this white paper, you can request it from us. Sure Machine Learning, we can demo. There's a demo here. I'm not going to play it for you, but let's say Cortana, Microsoft AI is integrated to BC. You do click on the menu in BC, and you can set up some of that machine learning. This is some examples of machine learning in Business Central. So you do have, for example, on sales and inventory, system recommends, for example, purchase orders if you're running out of inventory that you're selling. It also helps with forecasting. I love the cash flow ones. Instead of having to run a report and see if you're running out of cash, system will pop up and and give you a little message screen saying, hey, if you don't deposit more money, for example, the next 2 weeks you're going to run out of cash, you won't be able to pay payroll. So that's the system interacting with us without us having a person, an individual having to run a report, do an analysis, and come to a conclusion. Integration with Office 365, a lot tighter, the integration, to the point where, for example, Outlook, you can synchronize contacts with the ERP. And again, a lot of this, I'm sharing with you all when you ask for this presentation. Here's a quick observation. How with GPE, you have to press buttons to get into an email, versus in Business Central, it's embedded. And now with Teams, you also have it as embedded. By the way, quick fun fact: if you integrate Teams to Business Central, all of your employees who are in Outlook and Office get to view Business Central for free. So I call this the very light user, zero cost. So Teams will get you collaboration with Business Central throughout the organization without buying additional licenses. Again, it's a light user, very limited. It's primarily to facilitate, if somebody's working, I don't know, on a general entry calculation or accrual calculation. There's two people working on Teams, and one is an accounting person that has a full user. The other is just a person in the company who doesn't have a user. One can share with another. Outside of sharing a screen, they can actually share a link, and the other person can visualize. Power BI, huge difference. In GP, it's a shortcut, a connector. In Business Central, it's pre-connected. Microsoft does support and build cubes, and in every 6-month release, you do get additional analytics, graphs embedded already in the screen, or Power BI reports that you can run from the system. Integration to Dynamics 365, GP is cumbersome. Business Central is more natural, and it's growing by the month. Other tools, PayPal, Business Central is integrated with PayPal, with Shopify. Again, we're not beating GP down, but we all need to understand where the R&D is going to. Additional to this, development tools, huge difference. GP uses 40-year technology to develop, aka dexterity, versus Business Central uses more object-oriented, let's say, coding and part of .NET. On the functionality, I'll just summarize it. Functionality Finance is finance. Where it really starts jumping is on inventory and logistics, the warehouse management functionality, inventory, and the Business Central side is about 30% bigger than GP. On the reporting development, it's 100% bigger, better. On the Business Central side, manufacturing, it's over 100% better than GP. So with Business Central, functionally, you're getting, depending on the module, 20 to 50% more functionality on the Business Central side. And on the technical side, it's, night and day between GP. And again, on-premise to on-premise should still be free. And if you're moving from GP on-premise to the cloud, you're going to get a very good deal on top of the additional services that I already explained. Licenses, big difference. GP is concurrent user, Business Central is named. Microsoft does have a pretty fair conversion formula. If you're on GP, from the concurrent licenses you have in GP, they'll give you more than one license on the Business Central side. So, up to now, it's worked out well for customers in the conversion. Some customers have even commented that they've gotten additional free licenses in Business Central that they thought that they didn't have in GP. So they've actually got a little bit more software. I think we've only had one person where they were worse off. License-based pricing, GP, you start with 5,000, with 3 users. This is per month with telemetry and all the other services that you have in there. This is knocked down significantly when you do the that promo that we have with Microsoft. Cost comparison, you also have, this is not Teams from Microsoft. This is really light user. The light user that you get with Teams, and this is Microsoft for you to, mix all the terminology. That one's for free. So there's really a free one, then the 8, which is a light user, and then the essential user, which is more concurrent. Premium means, I'd say, when you use manufacturing or project-based accounting, that's when you hit premium. And GP, that used to be called the advanced pack. So GP also had technically the same thing. You had project, you had manufacturing, then you had to jump to a more advanced version. You'll see it here. So basically, it's very similar. Premium package, see, production orders, manufacturing. The training. Oh my God, it's night and day with GP. The Microsoft has free e-learnings for their customers and partners. It's excellent e-learnings, and then it will take you to a journey where you can get certified internally. GP's documentation is poor. Last documentation I think came out was for GP 2013 or 2015, if I'm not mistaken. And GP has had 0 e-learnings ever. And when they had something, it was lame and it had a cost to it. So education here is more open source. And let me see, I already mentioned that. Knowledge base, night and day, GP and Business Central. So a lot more documentation in there. There is a trial for Business Central. Call it a sandbox environment. You can play around for 30 days. You will never get your current GP environment implemented in 30 days or migrated in here. This is just, when you do a test drive in a dealer, right, that we use the Corolla, let's say, analogy. For migration, this is what we call the high grade. So moving from GP to Business Central is, yes, it's a migration, but it's also an upgrade. We do already have within Optimus. We have rapid start configuration packages already done that we use to move data from GP to BC. There's also other private label tools, depending on the complexity, history, etc., the data you want to bring over. And Microsoft does have, let's say, a certain level of R&D and tools in here. There is no magic button I'll repeat that. There is no magic button to press a button and like when we did a GP upgrade from 2013 to 2015, that it was all this validation and everything else. It's not. It's a hybrid. There's a lot of in the market and the industry out there. Let's say there's a lot of bad or incomplete information. There is no recommended 100% path by Microsoft Direct. There is not a magic button, and it's not like moving from GP 2013 to 2015, right? It's somewhere in the middle, right? We've been doing these upgrades now for 3 years, and we've been able to update and develop, it's more, I'd say, a tool bag than, one solution fits all. There are some predefined packages already to move from GP to Business Central. So let's say this is the more transparent one. So chart of accounts, dimensions, customers, vendors, items, fixed assets. That's a lot easier, definitely, to move from one end to another. So with that said, yeah, we have a case study, Freshmart. They're actually a global case study for, let's say, one of our European technology providers, ISVs, and they move from GP and Counterpoint over to BC. All the customers we moved to BC, 100% of them, all have communicated that there's no way they would go back to GP. So there is a proven track record there that, there are a lot of benefits and let's say that lowers the risk of anybody potentially moving over. So I get a lot, if an end broken, GP is a great system, why fix it, right? This is how I like to interact with it. We've had a lot of companies over the year, Yahoo, JCPenney, Kodak, Toys R Us, right? They had successful business model, BlackBerry products. They understood they didn't need to fix something that was successful. Where are they now? I like to also use this analogy. When the car first came out, people made fun of the car, saying, "Oh, that won't get that far without a horse," right? And then we went into the automobile revolution, and now we're hitting self-driving cars. I myself, I have a Tesla, and it's just incredible how you can just push a button and the car is driving itself.
I'm sorry, Hector, but we can hear the sound of the video.
So, basically, I'm not a fan of Steve Ballmer's short vision. I love Satya. I love what he just did with ChatGPT. And again, if it ain't broken, why fix it? So, I do get that a lot. And again, it doesn't mean you have to migrate from GP tomorrow because it's the end of the world. It is not infinity and beyond. GP does have, it's becoming old, and a lot of it has to do with BI and Teams and ChatGPT and mobility and online and this and that. And, GP is becoming more and more like the old mainframe, green screen type of softwares. So again, love GP. I'm here because of GP, but I'm also sad to see it being put to rest. So with that said, I want to thank everybody for your time. I don't know if anybody wants to raise your hand. We will not say your name. All right. So if you have any question, you can write it here before we log off.